Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. I'm Yoshi from New York. Today's words of wisdom is from January 4th, and I quote, "What concerns the mind, or what happens in the mind, can be undone, because the inner world encompasses past, present, and future from the laws of happiness." Thank you, Lord. All right, let's take a look into this sentence. What happens in the mind can be undone. So what happens outside of the mind sometimes, or a lot of the times, cannot be undone. You know the saying, don't cry over spilt milk, because the milk is already spilled. Or if you crack a vase, you can't put it back together. That's something in this three-dimensional world. But inside our mind, whatever thoughts we've had, or whatever tendencies we may be lingering on to, anything that occurred inside our heart can be undone. What's something that occurs inside our mind? It could be guilt, persecution complex, arrogance, anger, jealousy. These kind of negative tendencies are something that's inside the mind, right? Or how you remember an incident that occurred in the past. What occurred in the past has occurred, so you can't undo it. But how you perceive that past can be changed. And I think that's what he means in this sentence, that it can be undone. Also, to step it up a notch into a more spiritual teaching, maybe you've seen this in my past videos, but Master has taught us that what occurs in the mind is all recorded. It's recorded on our thought tape. And we watch all of it when we go back up to heaven. After we die, we see our life that was recorded. And everything that occurred even inside our minds is recorded and shown onto the screen with like captions. So there's no hiding from God. There's no hiding from spiritual beings. Everything that occurred, all the thoughts you've had, is recorded and shown after you pass away. However, let's say that you had a negative tendency, a bad mindset, you've hurt other people because of that. But what's magical about this mind is that when you reflect on it later on in the future, and if you truly self-reflect on it from your conscience and from using God's or Buddha's wisdom, Master's teachings, if you're truly able to reflect and shed Dharma tears, or that means like you shed tears naturally when you've noticed how wrong you were living in front of God's eyes. This is a mystical experience, but what happens is that the thoughts that you've had in the past, those negative thoughts, can actually be erased. So, even if you have committed past sins, you can dissolve that sin by truly reflecting, by having faith in the Lord and reflecting on yourself by using Alcantar's teachings. So that's what I believe what he means in the sentence, that whatever happens in the mind can be undone because the inner world encompasses past, present, and future. That's what apparently the spiritual world is like, what Master has taught us. In the spiritual world, not everything is in the present. So let's say that in the spiritual world, you converse with another spirit. They can be from 500 years ago or 500 years from the future. I know it's really confusing for me too, but apparently time doesn't matter in the spiritual world. So with this principle applied to our life, what makes it so powerful is that we can undo what we had or what we did inside our minds. That is why self-reflection is so powerful. It has a true, concrete, specific change that will be applied to your life when you do it correctly. So I recommend you doing self-reflection at night. Recently, what I've learned is if you become a devotee, you get 6 sutras. That's the you only get the true words spoken by Buddha when you're a member, but when you become a devotee, you get 6 more prayers, and one of them is the Eightfold Path. So it's important. What's good is read that Eightfold Path sutra, And then just quickly reflect on those 8 points that Master talks about. By doing so, it will really help you cleanse your mind, become purer and purer, and you'll start being able to undo what's inside your mind to start living a totally new life. You'll become a new person. You'll feel so much happiness in your life. So I really recommend you practicing self-reflection. Let me end today's by quoting today's words of wisdom. What concerns the mind, or what happens in the mind, can be undone because the inner world encompasses past, present, and future from the laws of happiness. Thank you, Lord.